We're here today because an unspeakable tragedy has unfolded in Minnesota.
Political violence has no place in this country.
We want everyone to feel safe that walks into this building.
Colonel Kristina Blagojevich is making her way through the Minnesota Capitol just weeks before the start of a new legislative session.
This also is an additional security kiosk.
She leads the Minnesota State Patrol in charge of Capitol security, and safety is top of mind this year.
Myself and the Lieutenant Colonel have spent quite a bit of time over here the past year.
With more than 20 years experience in law enforcement, the past year was a tough one.
And since the events of June 14th, they have really focused in on what recommendations they can move forward to the legislature.
There's a nationwide warrant for his arrest.
June 14th was historic for Minnesota and the country. The nation watched as Minnesota lawmakers were gunned down in their homes. The next 48 hours, the state launched the largest manhunt in history to capture the suspect, Vance Belter. Following the assassination of the late House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark, and attempted assassination of Senator John Hoffman and his wife, state agencies took swift actions to protect Minnesota lawmakers. The Secretary of State scrubbed all personal information off its website. Law enforcement partners monitored elected officials, including several in the Northland. And Colonel Blagojevich and her team made changes at the state capitol.
That we can't do this work alone. It is a statewide effort.
The horrific violence witnessed that day came to a head in Minnesota.
We need to tone down the rhetoric, tone down the derogatory terms. And I think there's a lot of people in politics who have gotten a career out of that type of language, out of that type of movement. And I think, you know, I won't lie, a lot of times those people get more attention.
A recent Gallup poll says more Americans believe inflammatory criticism of opponents has gone too far. Northland Senator Grant Hochschild says the only way to move forward is to go back to having constructive dialogue.
So my hope is that on both sides, we sort of put aside the derogatory language and instead focus on the policy debate and the differences in opinion.
Hochschild says our democracy depends on it, helping to form the Minnesota Blue Dog Coalition, a group of bipartisan lawmakers working across the aisle to pass policies. He is also the chair of the Civility Caucus, committed to building public trust. Working across the aisle is also something important to House Speaker Lisa Demuth.
Melissa Hortman and I had a really unique opportunity over the last year. Different political parties being put together by the voters to have to figure out a way through it.
Demuth currently holds the highest ranking Republican seat in Minnesota. She says politicians need to turn down the heat, making a commitment as a top official to do her part.
The words that we use talking about other people, specifically when we don't agree, is something that we have to change.
And when the new session starts, lawmakers and law enforcement alike will see some of those changes. Just last week, Governor Tim Walz issued an executive order for weapons screening inside the Capitol building. The number of public entrances has also been reduced.
So we can have eyes on those that are entering and exiting the building, so that when people come in, they see that connection to the State Patrol.
According to Minnesota State Patrol, the number of threats to elected officials have more than tripled from 4 in 2024 to 30 in 2025, an increase of 650%.
Those are numbers we've never seen. Everyone has a concern as we move into the session, and everyone has a part to play as we move in and talk about safety and security on the Capitol grounds. So for the Capitol area, we have 28 sworn troopers, and then we have about 68 Capitol security officers too. So between both of them, they do cover the Capitol area complex.
With thousands of people coming in and out of the Capitol building, Blagojevich says they have increased the number of officers on the 125-acre campus. They've also added a new threat investigator that works in tandem with the Minnesota BCA and have more marked squads patrolling the grounds.
We put together a threat matrix to make it uncomfortable for people who are so willing to speak about political violence and how they would carry those acts out.
Changes that are bringing some comfort for our policymakers set to return to their chambers.
With the screening that we've got and just the heightened awareness, maybe more security personnel on campus, those are really good steps in the right direction.
And while one lawmaker won't be returning to her seat this year.
And I will quote Melissa Hortman. She said that as Speaker of the House, she wasn't the Speaker for the Democrats or the Speaker for the Republicans. She was the Speaker of the Minnesota House.
That is a memorial to her.
Her voice and heart will continue to unite in this house.